when people are reluctant to go to a meeting. They're like, I go to a meeting, and most of the things that people say are completely like just drivel, or they're not relevant to me, or I've heard it a million times or whatever. And so I tend to reinforce a few things. I tell people, first of all, go to a meeting and try to find one thing. If you go to a meeting and you find one thing that's helpful to you, and the next week you find another thing, and the next week, after a month, well, that's four important lessons, or those four things that you can use later in your life, that or later that week or whatever, to help you sustain your sobriety and your recovery and those sorts of things. But I go further than that about meetings. And so if you take two people and you put them in these MRI machines that measure the areas of your brain that are engaged in the activity that you're doing, and one of them is eating an apple, and the other one is watching the other person eat the apple, the areas that are lighting up in the person's brain that's eating the apple are exactly the same as in the person who's watching the person eating the apple. And the person who is not eating the apple will develop some memory of what it's like to eat the apple based on observing the other person, because the same areas of the brain are being lit up. So what that translates to in the AA meeting is that if you hear about somebody's experience dealing with chemical dependency, coming to terms with it, moving forward, making progress, etc., and the skills that they learned or the experience that they had and how they dealt with it, even though you have never experienced it, you will develop kind of like a memory of that event, having heard that person's story. And so that when at 2 o'clock in the morning you're at the end of your rope, or etc., you're about to pick up the phone call and get your connection set up or whatever, hopefully those memories will come and be like, all right, I'm just gonna count to 10, and then I'm gonna do this coping skill, or I'm gonna, whatever, and I'm gonna remember that experience that other person had, and I'm going to overcome this intense urge to use, and I'm going to do something positive or whatever turns up happening. But that's how AA meetings are supposed to work. There's supposed to be an opportunity for people to share their experiences. We can learn from each other, and hopefully that other person who has heard from your experience will benefit from it. And that's the other thing. One of the most important things that people can do when they have that negativity going on, etc., is do something for someone else. Nothing releases your own endorphins like making somebody else happy or helping somebody else in a way. And so if you go to some of these meetings and you were to get up and actually tell your story, and somebody connects, and you might not even know if they connect, but you made the effort. You went up there and you tried to help somebody else by telling your story. You've helped yourself. You've helped somebody else. In the larger picture, you've helped the community. That's how you build that positivity. You are contributing to the health of other people in the community, and that's a wonderful thing to get out of meetings. Not that meetings are for everybody. Some people really don't do well. They go to meetings, they end up feeling like all it does is stimulate the desire to use, because some meetings are more about like reliving the glory days rather than identifying how using has destroyed people's lives, and that the path to recovery has been a huge benefit, etc. And so meetings can differ depending on who shows up and who's running the meeting and those sorts of things. So you have to be careful about going to meetings that are not helpful. But generally speaking, you can find a meeting that meets your needs. But then again, some people, they don't do well in meetings. But there's other groups. There's individual counseling. There's all kinds of ways to talk about coping skills, and to either on an individual basis with a counselor or in a group setting, build confidence in your coping skills and make progress towards recovery.